Thank you. We're now with the public defender. Dawn, if you could introduce yourself and introduce your colleagues.
Sure. I'm Dawn Diener. I'm the public defender here in Nashville. To my right is Darylyn Manning, our deputy public defender here in Nashville. And to my left is Sandra Ray, our administrative services manager.
Welcome. I should mention that Councilman Bedney is here. He's been here through several hearings today, and we appreciate his being with us. Talk about your year and then tell us what your thoughts are on the budget.
Well, I think for the most part this year has been a calm one at the Public Defender's Office. It has primarily been mostly business as usual. Our caseloads, as far as we know, haven't, from what we've got right now, haven't gone up, haven't gone down. They've sort of stayed what they were last year. As always, every year I come here and I tell you what a wonderful staff we have.
I know that already.
I know. You probably wouldn't recognize most of them anymore, but you know a good number of them. But they're the heart and soul of our office. They're the heart and soul of the work that we do, and they are extremely dedicated public servants, as you know. So they've made it a good year for the Public Defender's Office, I think. We have continued to represent individuals throughout the system in juvenile court, general sessions court, criminal court, and the Court of Criminal Appeals. The general sessions courts have kept us busy this year, I think, although arrests are fairly the same. The docket scheduling seems to have kept people a little bit busier in general sessions, and so they have risen to that task. We've also
what do you mean by that, is the scheduling?
It seems the dockets are a little larger, and I don't really know what that's the product of, but for some reason, even though our numbers haven't changed very much, it seems the dockets have gotten a little bit larger in General Sessions Court. So that puts a strain when you have more clients to handle on a single docket. That does put a strain on lawyers. So they've risen to that challenge and have done a good job. We are also very proud to be participating again this year, hopefully, with the Southern Public Defender Training Center in a grant project that they have called the Public Defender Corps. We will be receiving some small grant assistance through that program that will allow one of our lawyers to participate in a national program that is young lawyers coming directly out of law school who are committed to excellent public defender service in southern areas. This year they are expanding a little bit into northern areas, but it is a Southern Public Defender training program primarily, and so we're proud to be part of that. It brings in a little bit of money for us, but it also provides a national community of public defender and young public defender lawyers for our staff to work with. So we're proud of that. Our issues for the upcoming year, I've spent the last several months trying to look more at systems issues, looking at the bigger picture and how our office is operating, and that's not something I was really familiar with before I became the public defender, having at that point just been a lawyer handling my clients. So this year I've focused on trying to get a better understanding of how the system works overall, and have come to a few conclusions that have led us to request some budget improvements this year. I think the number one priority for that is getting a handle on our data analysis and our data collection. For a long time, before we went to an electronic case management system, we tracked case outcomes. We knew how long of a sentence our clients were getting, how many clients were getting a certain length of sentence. We knew how many of our clients' cases were dismissed, how many jury trials we had, how many jury trials we won, things of that nature. When we switched over to electronic case management system, we really stopped tracking that type of information, and that wasn't something that I came to understand until the past year. And I think it's important for our office to remain accountable to not only funders but to our clients and ourselves to know where we're working, what kind of work we're doing, the nature of the work we're doing, and how successful we are at it. I certainly think anecdotally we are successful, but I'd like to have the figures to back that up. And I'd like to, frankly, without that information, it's hard to find weaknesses in your system. Where can you improve? Where can you do better? Where are you doing excellently? So I think going forward into next year, we really want to focus on getting a handle on our data collection and our caseload management system. We do not have anybody at our office devoted just to IT issues. We do not have an IT specialist on staff. GIS is a supporting agency for us, and I think we're going to be reaching out to them and to ITS in the next few weeks to try to get some experts in to tell us where our weaknesses are in our data collection and data management and what we need to fix those problems moving forward so that we can gather the information we need. Other than that, the other systems issues that we're facing are trying to get a handle on our workloads, and I think introducing a broader team approach to what we're doing. As I'm sure you know, Mayor, it's important to have social workers involved in a public defender's office. That's a good bit of what we do. And our office has not expanded its social work program ever. In the adult office, we have one social worker in our adult office, and we had one when you were the public defender, and we still just have one. And we really need to grow that, I think, if we want to provide quality services in a way that hopefully will help to increase or reduce recidivism and increase positive outcomes for clients that hopefully take them out of the criminal justice system rather than just helping them cycle through it. So we would like to increase the social work aspect of our office. We think that would alleviate some of the social work tasks that lawyers end up often taking on, free them up to return to doing things only lawyers can do. We are also asking for expanded investigative services. Investigation is an ethical obligation we have to all our clients. Right now, we have 6 criminal investigators in the office, each of whom is assigned to a criminal court. They do not have additional time to devote typically to investigation in general sessions court or in the juvenile court, which leaves both of those systems without anybody to perform factual investigation services. Again, that's a good bit of what we do. If we're having lawyers do that work, when you could really have an investigator do that and free up the lawyer to do things that a lawyer needs to do, I think that creates efficiencies in the system and would improve the quality of services that we provide. There are 2 other budget improvement requests in terms of positions that we've made. One is for an immigration specialist. In 2010, the United States Supreme Court issued the case of Padilla versus Kentucky, which made it an ethical and a constitutional obligation for criminal defense lawyers to provide accurate and adequate advice to non-citizen clients about the immigration consequences to their criminal case. As you might imagine, that's a whole nother specialized field of practice, federal practice. And the lawyers in our office are not all immigration specialists. And to ask them to be is really kind of asking a lot of them. We think the best way to try to deal with this new responsibility is to try to bring on an immigration specialist to consult at the office, whether that's a contract position or someone who is on staff. I think either solution could work. But we have to realize we have that added constitutional obligation and that we need to address it to make sure that our non-citizen clients are getting the services that they're constitutionally entitled to.
I mean, is that more of a education effort? I mean, the consequences for a person whose immigration status, no matter what it is, if they're convicted of a crime, it's a finite amount of information.
It depends. When you're talking about individuals who are in general sessions court and the numbers that we're talking about who cycle through general sessions court, the ability of a lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, to ameliorate or reduce the consequences of that interaction with the criminal justice system on the immigration side of things can be immense. Right. If you can negotiate a different type of resolution, for instance, if someone is charged with possession of over 14 grams of marijuana, maybe you can negotiate a plea for something less. Maybe you can negotiate diversion, but those would still have immigration consequences. But if the lawyer is educated enough to know that if you can get a different type of resolution worked out, maybe that has no immigration consequences. Well, it is a matter of education, but I don't know how the challenge is educating 43 lawyers, which is our current level of staffing, on the intricacies of all of those cases in a way sufficient to be able to advise every non-citizen client under the specific details of their history and their case.
I mean, that you may be totally correct. I'm just thinking that in a world that we live in now, and the number of in an urban area, the number of cases you're going to see where there are immigration consequences versus the way it was in 1983 when I started as a public defender. Almost every lawyer would have to have, I think, according to that case, almost any lawyer who's appearing on the jail docket or handling the bond docket would have to have almost that requisite level of knowledge to do the job adequately, because you're going to see those cases every day.
And that's the challenge, is that right now there's no one that the lawyer at the jail docket can call back at our office to say, this is the scenario, can you help me? And I think that's what we're looking for. We're looking for someone who can serve on staff, who would know immigration law and would be able to advise not only clients who are last minute, I just walked into court and I have this client I have to deal with, but we're also dealing with clients with serious cases who have immigration consequences as well. So, trying to figure out the best solution that doesn't overburden or doesn't, overburden lawyers who are already overburdened. I'm happy to take suggestions on that.
I understand what you're saying. It's just, you're going to have to educate a lot of people, no matter what, I think, as to what immigration law is. You
do. Unfortunately, immigration law seems to change every day.
Well, it is an area of expertise, no question about that.
Yes. And then the last budget improvement we've requested is a community outreach. And I don't necessarily know that that's the best way to describe what I envisioned this person to be able to do. The best way I would describe this is that I think the Sheriff's Office has made great strides with its reentry program in the jail.
Right.
To link individuals who find themselves in jail with resources outside jail to help them transition without coming back into the criminal justice system. There is a component, though, of those individuals who haven't quite made it to the point of going to jail, but they're in the criminal justice system. And that whole set of individuals really doesn't have a particular place where they can turn to get hooked up with the same types of services that individuals in jail are receiving. And I think our office is the perfect place for that to happen. We're interacting with most of those folks. I don't think it would take much to get someone, whether it's a full-time or even a part-time position, get someone in our office situated in companionship with what DCSO is doing with their reentry, get them educated to be able to start making the contacts and reaching out to individuals in the community, set up a similar program within our office with the goal of reducing recidivism amongst those folks before they even get into the jail. And that all ties in, it's all connected in with the social work aspect, the investigative aspect, those ties that we're trying to build within the community to improve our clients' lives, but also to improve the community.
What's been the effect? Have you felt you've got 1,100 empty beds now in the jails, and homicide rate level last year lower than it's been many years? Is that starting to feel its way through the system?
Certainly, I think with regard to homicide cases, our numbers are not near what they were 10 years ago, and that's good. I think, unfortunately, they have been replaced by other types of serious cases. Anybody who watches the news at night probably has the sense that there's an increase in arrests on sex abuse cases. That certainly seems to be my experience. And so while we are doing well with that, it seems that we do get a lot of sex abuse cases coming through that are very timely. They take time-consuming cases. So I do think certainly the lower jail populations is a good thing. How much these days, I don't think that plays too much into negotiations or anything like that. We certainly aren't doing review dockets trying to see who we need to get out of jail because the jail's overcrowded. So I don't know how much it's really impacted our day-to-day practice. But.
Yeah, I mean, it may be during the course of the next year that you feel it more, because that's really when the cases would, if there are all these new cases, fewer homicide cases, you'd feel it would be 6 or 7 months out.
Right. I mean, arrests are still steady. So I
Right.
think the workload is still there. It's just a matter of not having to deal with those violent, serious murder cases is a good thing.
Rich?
Questions?
No question. Greg? Well, thank you for all your great work.